Hello and welcome back to the GirlFit Method podcast. So on today's episode, I am joined by two absolutely beautiful women. I was just complimenting them before we hit record here on how lucky I am to be surrounded by such gorgeous ladies. So we have our client, Diana, welcome, and we have Coach Kat with us. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome. So today's podcast episode, we are really going to dive into Diana's story, and I want her to kind of kickstart things. But really what this podcast is going to be about is we find that we do get approached by women who maybe have had more struggles with over-consuming and have additional fat to lose. I know we talk a lot about reverse dieting and talking about girls that maybe don't hold a lot of body fat. And maybe that they need to really work on actually being able to eat more and potentially actually being okay with putting on weight, right? That's a lot of what we chat about. But there are other women that we do help. And I think it's really important to share everybody's story. And Diana is just, as us Aussies say, an absolute legend. We love her and she has a really powerful story to share. So I'm going to kick things off with you, Diana. And without it sounding too, lame, I'm going to say, tell me a little bit about your upbringing. What were you like as a child? But I think that your story, it really bleeds into, your adult life, what your experiences were in regards to food and how you were brought up. So do you want to kickstart us off?
Sure. So 33 years is a lot to consolidate. So I took notes for this. So I am actually foreign born. I was born in Germany by Polish parents, and all we speak is Polish at home. And we came to the States when I was 6 months old. So I was raised in the States, right? But very, very Polish family. And we came here with 2 suitcases and then me in a poopy diaper. And, and so growing up, really, as we made our way in the States and my parents were trying to achieve the American dream, eating was a conversation, right? Make sure to eat everything on your plate because there's kids around the world that don't have enough to eat. So that was the conversation when we first came in the States, and I was, maybe kind of an elementary school range. And then 5th, 6th grade, I would say, is my first memory of my dad taking away a bag of chips from me and saying that's enough. And then starting to hear the opposite. And chips have always been a weakness of mine. And that's really the first memory that I have of him, taking food away or making a face when I went for a bite of something. So that's kind of when it peaked in my brain that I was maybe bigger than others. After that, the next time that things would be kind of subtle. And then the next time there was a big push was I was finishing high school, getting ready for college. And my father signed me up for something called Medi weight loss. So people in the States may be familiar with it. It's a clinic essentially where they give you appetite suppressants. They recommend you eat only 700 to 800 calories a day, but then they're aware that your body is losing energy because you're literally not eating anything to give yourself energy. So then you have to go into the office twice a week to get B12 shots in your behind.
Can I just stop you there, Diana, for 1 second? So how old were you at this point?
I was about 18. So to give some more context, like high school was the era when Fin became big in the United States. Atkins diet, like I remember my mom being on Atkins diet and losing a ton of weight. South Beach diet was coming out like around that time at the end when dad sent me to Medi weight loss. So 17, 18 was the first time I took weight loss medicine.
Okay. And so why did your dad send you there? Were you, at that point, were you having issues with overeating? Were you at an unhealthy weight? Like, what was the reasoning behind him sending you there?
So looking at pictures now, I wouldn't have said that I was overweight when I was 10. Sure. When I was 17, 18, I feel like I was in like my young prime. But dad saw trends, right? And he knew that I was about to go to college. He knew that I'd be on my own and he wouldn't be there. And the reality is, I don't think it's much of a cultural thing. I think it very much is my family. My family is a bit superficial, right? My parents met at a pool. My dad was the lifeguard in his red Speedo, and my mom was a model that played hooky from school. Her photo was literally on the top of taxi cabs in Warsaw. My mom is a stunner. So
is Diana, by the way. She's beautiful.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
She's absolutely
okay,
beautiful.
makes sense. Makes sense now, looking at
Yeah.
Diana.
Got your mama's jeans.
Thank you. So yeah, that was it was a dad thing for sure, wanting me to be like my mom.
So it sounds to me like they had really, what held importance to them was probably a simulate. I mean, I know that your family had come from another country, and I do wonder if that did play some kind of a part in that. It sounds to me like he was worried about you not fitting in, or potentially you not being able to achieve X, Y, Z goals because he felt like you didn't look the part, right? So although it sounds to me like he wasn't being cruel, it is actually a very cruel thing to do to your young daughter, but it had come with, somewhat good intentions. And that's how parents' issues can get passed down to their children. So easy to do, even myself becoming a parent, you're going to be so mindful that your own preconceptions and judgments and issues, really, you can so easily pass on to your children. So I could only imagine that is a very, very, very strong signal to be sent at a very impressionable age that you better look a certain way. Otherwise, maybe you're not as valuable or you're not worth it. This holds really, it's of great importance, the size of your body.
Yeah, very much so. It was ingrained pretty early. And then I took that with me into college, and I met several trainers. And for those of you that are listening, I'm doing quotation marks. I met several trainers, so people that claim to be trainers, and I worked with them, ranging from the person that I was actually eating decently. Like, there was one trainer that had me eating 6 eggs for breakfast with oatmeal and an apple, and then like salmon and extra lean ground beef. But that was the same guy that I would go in the morning for 2 hours of weightlifting and cardio, take a nap, maybe make it to a few classes, and then go work out again at night for more cardio. So I was in the gym easily 3.5 hours, 6 days a week. There was another trainer that essentially kind of made me his fatfluencer. So he was used to working with, and this is going to tie perfectly into today's topic. He usually worked with thin girls, and he had never had a bigger client before. And so he took me under his wing. He had me eating chicken, broccoli, and eggs. That was my meal. And then he would pay for me to go get my hair and nails done. And then during my workouts, instead of training me, he would film me to then bring in more clients.
I wonder if he was trying to use you as his before and after to sell more of his coaching, because when you have someone that has a big transformation, and just talking from a business perspective as a trainer, an online coach running a business, if you can show that there's someone who has come in looking a certain way and they have a drastic change, then that is actually quite eye-catching, right? People go, wow. So it sounds to me like he was, you were his little project that he could then use to build his business, which is really gross, to be honest.
Yeah. I was Instagram famous, if you will. Like, people around Charlotte recognized me, but at the same time, I didn't speak to my family for 3 months because I was so hangry and I was so tired. Even if I look at my progress pictures and I show people now, I had huge black circles under my eyes because my eyes were sinking into my face because I was starving and I was exhausted. He would make me send him pictures of the cardio machine when I was done, so he could track how long I was on the elliptical or on the treadmill.
Yeah. I'm really sorry that happened to you. It blows my mind that there are people out there like that. Our industry, if you're a good trainer and you've got a good heart, it's hard to make money, because where it's really easy to make money in our industry is to sell extremes and to really exploit people. in order for your own gain. And that's what's happening. Sounds like that's what's happening there with that trainer, is that he's really wanting to get an extreme result from you. And so he's putting you through an extreme protocol, which is only going to really hurt your health. Now, okay, with all of that said, so when you had approached us, what situation were you in physically and mentally?
Yeah. So I had been the heaviest I'd ever gotten. And what really, I got to a point where I had no sex drive, and I'm a single girl in my early 30s living in a very walkable, wonderful city. And I remember being at the pool last 4th of July, which is coming up. And I was at the pool, and there were easily 50 men there, and not one caught my eye. And I was like, oh, okay. That's odd. I remember Halloween was coming up. I had the hardest time finding costumes, was crying in the dressing room. And I was supposed to go dancing, which is one of my greatest passions in life. And I was literally dressed to go out the door. And there's a full-length mirror in my apartment on the way to the door. And I saw back fat. And I started vomiting from anxiety, just thinking about people seeing me in my state. And a few weeks later, I found y'all on Instagram.
Fate, some would say.
That's what I would say. I don't even remember how I found y'all. I don't know how you came up at all, but I just remember going down the feed and just remember thinking, y'all never use the word diet. Y'all are using very real girls. You're not making any promises about anything. You're actually talking about how easy weight loss is, which I'm 33. I know weight loss is easy, right? But y'all kept saying it's going to take work, and you're going to have to make the decisions. You're going to have to put in the work. And yeah, I set up a call with you, Tosh, and now I'm family.
Feels like a lifetime ago now.
Yeah,
almost 12 months ago. Crazy. And so much has happened in that 12 months. And I'm actually going to throw over to Coach Kat now. So when Coach Kat, hello, been very quiet over there.
Hello.
So when you first started working with Diana, I guess, what assessment did you make of her situation, and what protocol did you really want to implement with her, and why?
Honestly, like with Diana, the assessment was just that we wanted to be in a fat loss phase. But the fact is that, in a fat loss phase, depending on how much weight someone has to lose, kind of translates into the severity of the fat loss phase. So if someone's just needing to lose a little bit of weight, you can do a mini cut. But when you have someone who has a little bit more to lose, looking at it as the long game. And so in that, we just reduced calories down to a slight deficit, and we held it there as long as she was losing centimeters. And I feel like I do have to make the disclaimer that, not every week is linear. You don't always lose centimeters in a week. Sometimes it takes 2 to 3 weeks to see a change, but just like playing the long game and making sure that we were tracking along and at a good rate, honestly, is kind of just where we've been and what we've been doing. And I really do have to credit Diana, because she has taken ownership of it. Like, I can give the protocol, I can give the support, but at the end of the day, she is the one who is doing the real footwork. And she is always like in all of her check-ins, she's like, this is on me. Like, I can do this. Like, this is what I am, setting out to do. I am in control of this, and I'm taking ownership of it. And honestly, like, I have to credit that to so much of her success. It's just her attitude around it, because it was the determination and the will to be adherent. And of course, nobody is like, 100% adherent or even 90% adherent. Really, it's kind of like, if you can be 80% adherent, you're on a good track. You're going to get places. And Diana just really didn't give herself excuses, but knew her limits as, I like to go out I like to have spontaneous times out with friends and things like that. And so we created room for that in her diet. But honestly, I've just, as a coach, like, so incredibly proud, and honestly feel super like blessed that she's my client, because she's just such a stellar client, and that makes the results so much easier.
That is so beautiful. I really could not agree any more with you. I think there's another thing happening here, because Diana absolutely has been consistent and adherent and has taken absolute ownership of all of it. And that is critical. It is so critical. However, we need people in our corner to support us. We need accountability. And that is exactly what you have been, Kat. And what I do want you to touch on is how you've worked with Diana around mindset changes and shifts, right? And really educating her on how long this is going to take. From where we started to where we are now, how much weight have you lost, Diana?
42 pounds. And actually, you said 12 months, so it's been 6.5 months.
Well,
wow.
okay.
I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? That is phenomenal, like so phenomenal. And the great thing about this is you are a little socialite. Like, this has not meant you have only eaten chicken, broccoli, and rice. Like, you have been going out, living your life. You've been on vacation, you've done the things. And I hear from girls so much, I've got a holiday in, next month. I don't think I should start now. And it's like, no. This is not about a perfect, quote unquote, 12 weeks. This is about actually changing your habits so that it implements and it sticks within your lifestyle so you can get results and keep them. And this is where girls go wrong, is that they think that they can, all right, anyone can stick to something for 12 weeks. Can you stick to that for the rest of your life? Can you still go out and socialize and go out for dinner and go on vacation? And still see those results? That's what you need to ask yourself. That is so incredibly phenomenal. I just want to say a big well done to both of you, to really both of you. It's been an absolute team effort. So the biggest part, I think, with any transformation is the mindset, right? Because if your mind's not in the right place, good luck getting any physical results. So along the way, Coach Kat, I'd love to hear from your perspective. Was there any kind of myths that you needed to bust or changes in mindset that you really wanted to work on with Diana?
Let me think about that. Just because, every client is different, but I feel like with Diana, honestly, it was just kind of like coming to terms with the fact that, like, the relationship with food, like, you want to change it. It has to change. And so you can look at food a certain way, and, food being, for pleasure, or whatever anybody else, like, kind of how they view food is like comforting, de-stressing, things like that. But the thing is that what got you to where you are is not going to get you out of where you are. And so it's really that mental shift of like, okay, it is okay to look at food as something that's comforting, but it's not okay for it to be the main source of comfort. And that doesn't necessarily mean that Diana did that all the time, but just to kind of give examples, like, and like Stu is like food being the source of like fun and excitement, and that being like really just playing into like food is like a source of joy. And that's great. Food is a source of joy, but it can't be the source of joy that you lean on the most, because when you do that, when like you have these relationships with food that are kind of like an end all be all, like it's like such a big deal, it makes it very hard for you to kind of get out of that mindset to get to your goals. And you really need to change that, because the thing is that if the mindset doesn't change, you can do a 12-week program and be super hardcore about it, but that program's going to end, and where you're going to be like at the end of the 12 weeks is not where you're going to be a year from now if you did no mindset work. And so I think for us, like, we've just been working on, all or nothing mentality, just that thought of like, well, if you mess up, is it over? It's like, if you accidentally eat over your calories, does it mean that you just throw out the whole rest of the day or the rest of the week? And okay, well, maybe I'm just gonna, push this off. And, not saying that honestly, with Diana, she was so receptive that it wasn't something that we were constantly having to like go over. It was like, once it was talked about, it was like, okay, I'm going to implement this. And she's just like the queen of implementation. I just have to say that. Like, she was like, okay, I trust you. I think that that's right. Let's adjust this. And she just has changing her mindset. And, I know, Diana, you've even said that like, you've had to change your relationship with food. You've had to change like how you've thought of it, and that's just how it's had to be. And so I think sometimes, we're hesitant to change our relationship with food because it has been a certain thing to us for so long. But really, that's where the change happens. Like, the mental change comes first and the physical change comes after. And the thing with the mental change is that change is a lifetime. And so that means that your physical change also, will play throughout your lifetime, and you can choose whether that's going to be a positive or a negative thing. And so it's really just been working on, where is your mind around food, and how is that, and what does that look like for you mentally and physically in the long run?
Oh, some profound words there, Kat. I feel like Coach Kat has lots of wisdom. She should write a book one day. She comes out with these absolute pearlers. And I'm not sure if any of my American listeners understand what a perler is, but in Australia, a perler is like a gem, like a word of wisdom. So there you go. Just in case you had no idea what I was talking about. So
I have to admit something.
What? Uh-oh.
So I actually don't know if either one of you know this. So I'm an analyst for like my full-time job, right? I usually do a ton of homework before I spend money on anything, because I'm also a financial coach on the side. I just signed up on a gut feeling with GirlFit Method. And then I started scrolling through after I had invested the money, and I'm like, oh gosh, they only work with thin girls. They keep talking about a reverse diet, and I don't need to reverse anything except my butt back into the gym, right? And I remember, so I started working with a previous coach, Coach G. And I remember, I think it was my 3rd or 4th week, and I called her and I said, so do you all work with big girls? Because I'm a big girl and I like to eat. And I see girls here asking questions about how they get more calories in, and I don't have that question. And she told me that y'all did. And essentially what it turned into. So here's what I want to admit. I was in a situation where when I found out I'd have to cut calories, I'd have to count them, I'd have to be in the gym, I freaked out. And you can ask some girlfriends of mine, I was a negative Nancy, and I was so miserable at the beginning of this program. And essentially what I did, when y'all talk about mindset, I just finally had to tell myself, I'm going to go into this full force. I'm not going to question anything. I'm going to trust these women that they have my best interest at heart. And that if I don't succeed and if I don't lose the weight, then it's GirlFit Method's fault and not mine. And so to Kat's point of, I finally got to her, like the beginning, my check-ins were quiet, 1-word answers. I didn't say much. And then when I noticed that I could trust y'all and that you did have my best intentions in mind, and I didn't have that thought of the previous coaching experiences that I had, right? Y'all completely changed my perception of coaches. Y'all completely changed my perception of what it is to be in a strong, healthy community of women. Y'all completely changed my perception of how good my legs look in shorts now. Y'all did that for me, right? But I went through that negative phase, and I essentially just had to make the decision, like the water might be cold, but I'm jumping in and I'm going to trust these girls.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think we can sometimes, as we chat about these situations and you're in the position that you're in now, it's really easy to think about the whole process as being relatively easy, right? You've gotten these results now, but with any kind of change, especially when it comes to changing your relationship with food and making such a massive lifestyle shift, you think about it, when you started to work with us, it would have hit you, oh, okay, my life is going to change if I'm going to follow through on this. And that is scary and incredibly uncomfortable. And we have two options at that point. We either go all in and we trust the process, or we retreat and we blame others for not getting the results that we want to get, right? But we actually haven't put the work in, and we haven't stepped out in faith and done the thing that feels terrifying. And that's really hard. It is very hard. And I kind of believe that everybody in their life needs to get to that position and that place where they go, do you know what? It's terrifying to make this shift. It's terrifying to lose control. However, what's more terrifying is staying where I'm at. So what decision am I going to make, and what direction am I going to head in? And so I want to say I'm really proud of you, because it's not an easy decision to make, but my goodness, has it paid off?
It's thanks to you guys. It's thanks to the Facebook community. I completely trusted you all, and it's gotten me here. It's even in my dating profile. Don't hate me if count calories
Warning.
and my wellness and fitness journey a priority. It's literally in there.
I love that. Warning.
I love it.
And you know what? That's not ever the long-term goal either. You know, and I know Coach Kat, for you, your end goal with Diana would be to get her into a position where we've implemented such incredible lifestyle habits that counting calories just won't be necessary after a while. You'll have all that knowledge. You'll know how to maintain your physique. You'll know how to make decisions around your nutrition and your training that serves you. That's the end goal, which is beautiful. But it takes this season of life where it's like, okay, you need to invest in yourself to learn in order to then have that freedom down the track. Yeah. I love that.
Something I love about working here is because it's not just get your body to look a certain way program. It's let's change your life. It's an education. It's an education. You learn so much. I mean, I've been through the program. I learned so much, it's like you learn so much about, just how to live a normal life, have a healthy relationship with food and your body, and I just, I really love that about what we do is that it's not just, okay, you're where you're at. All right, good job. Talk later. If you ever get out of shape and need to get back into it, just let us know. It's not like that. We really want to see long lasting change, and that does require education. And I love that about what we do is that we really focus on the longevity of, the results and being with us. So that's awesome that you said that, Diana.
Yeah, I love it. And you're so right, Coach Kat. I just want to say, as she was talking, in my mind, I'm thinking the whole purpose and what we want, and I know I'm speaking for you as well, Coach Kat, and Coach Julie and Coach Vanessa, is ultimately what we see is women who have this complicated relationship with their body and with food and have a history, just like you, Diana, and it's held them back from actually living life. And that's what we want. Life shouldn't be lived once we hit our goal body. Life should be lived right now. And that starts with a mindset change. And absolutely, food plays a big role in that, in our longevity, in our energy levels, our workouts do, in our strength, in our ability to build confidence as we get stronger. That's all so, so important. But unfortunately, in today's society, I would say the majority of women have issues with the way that they look and have complicated relationships with food. And that stops them from being all that they are. And we just see the beauty in every single one of our clients wholeheartedly. And we don't want one negative thought or belief about themselves to hold them back from being all that they can be. And that's truly all of our hearts. And it's just been very inspirational to see you grow and evolve, and Coach Kat, to see you guide and be such an incredible leader. That's what I see you as. With Diana, it's it's for me, it's such a blessing to see. So well done to both of you. That's so sappy. Whew.
I'm like, thank you. My eyes watering.
Yeah, I was tears. We're going to get emotional here. That's enough of the sap. Okay. I want to end this podcast episode with, I want both of you to give one piece of advice to someone right now who's feeling fearful about making the leap and making the change. If you could go back in time, because Coach Kat, like you've said, you've actually done the program as well. If you go back in time, what's the one piece of advice you would give yourself to say, hey, just go for it?
I'd say go with your gut, because that's what I did here, right? I saw that y'all were talking about reverse diets and getting girls to increase their amount of calories, and that was what drew me in. That was, even though I was a bigger girl and I didn't know if I fit the criteria, when all my life I've been raised to fit a criteria. I didn't know, but my gut told me to join. And when I joined, I went all in.
It's so good. I think for me, it would be to ask yourself, why wouldn't you? Why don't you step out? And if the ultimate answer to that is anything that's based in fear, to run into the fear, because fear is not a good guide for your life. I mean, yes, it has its purposes, but when it comes to changing your relationship with food and really actually moving into living your life and having a full life that's not just this narrow tunnel of calories and exercise and how your body looks, fear is an inhibitor of life. And so I would just say run into it and just go for it, because once you get through it, oh my gosh, it's amazing and it's so life-changing.
Yeah, could not agree more. I love both of those pieces of advice. I think we get stuck thinking that fear is real, and fear really isn't. And once you understand that all the good stuff happens outside of your comfort zone, that's when you can really start to live life and really achieve your goals. So thank you both for joining me today. I've actually really loved this conversation. It's just like lifted my spirit so much, and it truly is. And I know this sounds so corny, but it is actually really inspirational. And I'm so, so proud to have you both in my life and to be able to serve you, Diana, and just to see you grow, and Coach Kat, just to see you be such an incredible coach. So thank you both so much.
And the journey's not over. I'm a part of the family for a lot longer.
You are not going anywhere, my friend.
No way.
Nope. We'll be tying you down. Locking you in. Absolutely. Well, we'll have to do an updated version too, maybe in another 6 months' time.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. Awesome. All right. Thanks, girls.
Okay.